Only got 24 hours in Prague? Challenge accepted! Today we at Real Prague Guides are gonna show you what you can see in Prague in just one day. This is gonna be a realistic, walkable itinerary that's gonna include all of the most important sites and occasionally go off the beaten path. 24 hours is absolutely not enough for Prague, but we are gonna do our best. We are starting our day super early. Right now it's 7:50 a.m. and as you can see, we are at the Old Town Square in front of the astronomical clock, one of the most valuable attractions in this city. This Gothic clock has been chiming since the year 1410, and it's impossible to imagine Prague without it. We are of course here so early to see the first astronomical clock show of the day at 8 a.m, but just so you know, you can see it every hour sharp from 8 a.m. till 11 p.m. We just wanted to do it this early because as the day grows older, there will be more and more people here, so we just wanted to get it out of our way. And that's it! And just a little tip, you guys, it is better to come here a little bit earlier, I would say 10 to 5 minutes early, just to make sure that you catch the clock show, because it is very short, it's under 1 minute, I believe. And if you're here earlier than that, you can just explore, take photos around the Old Town Square, because it's going to be very empty, much emptier than later, trust me. Lots of us here. We've successfully dodged the crowds and now we can go to our next stop. And if you are a long-time viewer, you might guess what it is. Charles Bridge. The earlier you come here, the better. During the day, this place is a bit nuts, so you will not be able to enjoy the atmosphere and take all the photos that you want. Now at 8-something a.m, it's gonna be just you, a couple of wedding photo shoots, runners, and maybe Depeche Mode fans. Anyway, enjoy the view. So now we've crossed Charles Bridge from the Old Town to the Lesser Town. We are going to explore both of these areas a little bit later. Now we have something else to do, and that is Prague Castle. From where we left off at Charles Bridge, you can take a tram up to the castle hill to save some time, or walk if you would like. By taking a tram, you will be crossing off another thing from your bucket list, because red Prague trams are iconic for the city. We are gonna now take a tram number 22 from the station called Malostranské náměstí, and it's just a couple of stops. The easiest way to get a ticket is through the official city app called PID Lítačka. We made the whole video about how to buy tickets and use the app, so you can check it out later. It will be a pretty short ride. The best stop to get off at when you're coming to the Prague Castle is called Pražský hrad, or Prague Castle. It should take around 5 to 7 minutes from where we got on next to Charles Bridge, but today we got here with the magic of editing, because it is currently on a reconstruction for another 3 weeks, but by the time this video comes out, it should be almost opening, so hopefully you will be fine. Even though Prague Castle is one of the most famous attractions in Prague, which even made it to the Guinness Book of World Records, it has been getting some bad press lately. Some people called it boring, disappointing, and even a tourist trap. Let me clear the air around the Prague Castle. First of all, we cannot really call it a tourist trap because you don't have to pay anything to enter it. It is completely for free, and if you bring a bottle of water and a snack, you won't even have to buy anything and spend your money. Secondly, people who find it disappointing are mainly upset that they overpay for tickets to the interiors of the Prague Castle when they buy them online. That's because there are many reseller websites that mark up the prices, so be careful about this. And finally, for people who find it boring, Anything is boring when you don't know what you're looking at. Libraries are also boring if you don't read any books. But if you do your research or join one of our tours, you will be able to know the context of the castle and will know your way around it. We do run tours to the Prague Castle every single day. You can check them out at realpragueguides.com. And now let me show you how to see the best of the Prague Castle. And now we can finally enter the castle complex. All you need to do is just to cross the Powder Bridge and enter the second courtyard of the Prague Castle. But we are gonna go this way. This view always takes my breath away. If you're here only for one day, you will not have time for the interiors of the castle most likely, as those take too much time, usually about 3 hours. So I will give you a short tour of the Prague Castle, so you know what to look at when you are here. Right now we are standing in front of the St. Vitus Cathedral, which is the third biggest attraction on our list. This part of the cathedral was only finished in 1929, which makes it neo-Gothic. But if we go that way, we will be able to see some older parts. As we walk around the St. Vitus Cathedral, notice many gargoyles, rainwater drains that protect the stone from erosion. And now let's talk more about the Prague Castle. So the castle complex was established in the year 880 by the first Czech royal dynasty called Přemyslic. They most likely decided to settle on top of this hill because it was a known pagan center and they wanted to replace pagan shrines with Christian ones, and also because it had perfect natural defenses. Let me show you what I mean. As you can see, we are now on the edge of the hill, and below us is something which is called Deer Moat. Except that it's not a moat and there's no deer inside of it. It's more of a canyon. So when Přemyslic arrived here, it was already here, and that meant they didn't have to worry about protecting the northern side of the castle that much. Later, of course, more walls and towers were added, but they were good for a few centuries. And now let's get back to our cathedral. So from this side you can see the oldest part of the cathedral. The construction began in the year 1344, and this was the oldest part they built. You can still see some pure Gothic here in the Prague Castle. And right now we are actually on the St. George's Square. Behind me you can see the St. George's Basilica, which dates back to 10th century. So this is one of the oldest churches in Prague, and it was one of the earliest burial places for Přemyslic dynasty. And over there we can see the place where the first Přemyslics lived. Behind me you can see the old royal palace. The biggest windows of the old royal palace belong to the Vladislav Hall, the most monumental space inside of this complex. Not only they had balls inside, but also markets and even jousting tournaments. They even built special staircase for horses so they can get in and out of the palace. And if you look over there, you will see the arch that is connecting St. Vitus Cathedral with the old royal palace, more specifically the chambers of the royals, so they could attend the morning mass comfortably straight from their bedroom. And now let's walk straight to that corner over there and turn around for an epic view. But we are not done, believe it or not. Follow me to the hidden staircase that will lead us to the southern gardens. These are completely free to visit, and you get gorgeous views of the city. Recently they also opened Hartig Garden, which is a quiet, picturesque spot you can also check out. Now we have seen the most important spots in the Prague Castle. And now let's exit the southern gardens and continue with our itinerary. If you have watched Michael Portillo's Weekend in Prague, you might recognize this spot and me, because I was lucky enough to be part of that episode a few years back. Let me tell you, shooting a travel show on this scale is no joke. We had to start filming at 6 a.m. not to have any visitors inside of the St. Vitus Cathedral. I think my bit went okay, but I was definitely surprised by some of the questions that Michael asked me. For example, how Charles IV is relevant to Prague and Czech people today. Because my gut instinct was to say he lived and died in 14th century, so he's not relevant anymore. But I had to fight it off very quickly and say something more general. Because of course he's important, but I just had to think about it for 1 second before replying. So yeah, these shows are not really scripted. You're only roughly told what you're going to be talking about, and of course about the place that you are visiting. If you will ever be on a travel show, I have 2 tips for you. Tip number 1, remember that you are mic'd up the whole time. I didn't realize that, so I was chatting about something extremely inappropriate during the breaks. I hope the sound guy didn't hear it, but he probably did. And my last tip would be, don't say anything that could be taken out of context. Now we will continue downhill to the lesser town, the area you have been admiring this whole time pretty much. Let me tell you more about that. Lesser town, or Malá Strana, is a tiny neighborhood below the Prague Castle Hill, which most tourists skip, but I think it definitely deserves your attention. Particularly St. Nicholas Church, which can stun you with its Baroque architecture. So follow me down the winding streets of the lesser town, the neighborhood that can surprise you on every corner. For our today's itinerary, I decided to check out Wallenstein Garden. It is free to visit between April and October. Lesser town is kind of famous for the gardens and views of the city, and Wallenstein Garden is definitely one of the best ones. Now we are done with one side of the river, and I think it's time for lunch. You should be hungry by now, because we've already seen a lot, but choosing a restaurant in Prague can be challenging. We decided to make it easy for you, because Lesser Town and Prague Castle restaurants are normally pretty expensive, because there are a lot of governmental buildings around here. Those people got cash. So for cheaper restaurants, go to the new town or even the old town. We will share free Google Maps for all restaurant recommendations and even more with you guys. We don't earn any commission from those. All you need to do is to click on one of the maps you like and save them on your phone, and then you can use them whenever you want. So check out the links in the description and explore Prague freely. And if you've been enjoying this video so far, please give us a thumbs up and consider a super thanks. That would help us a lot. After lunch, we recommend heading to the Jewish quarter of Prague. It is one of the most well-preserved ones in Europe, so that makes it a must-see site. If you want to see the synagogues and the old Jewish cemetery, you will need a ticket, but it will also take around 3 hours to cover everything. You can just walk around and see everything from the outside. Let me show you how. As we pass by the wall of the old Jewish cemetery, we can peek through this little window and take a look at how it looks like inside. You will notice that the tombstones are very cluttered. That's because there are over 12,000 of them. And some archaeologists estimate that around 40 to 100,000 people were buried there over the course of 300 years. The old Jewish cemetery is very famous, and it even made it to a few music videos. Keep following the wall of the cemetery, and you will arrive at the heart of the Jewish quarter, with the old new synagogue at its center. We made it to the most important attraction in the Jewish quarter, called the Old New Synagogue. This is a Gothic synagogue that dates back to the year 1270, but you might know it because of Golem. Golem was a humanoid created from clay by Rabbi Lo, according to the legend, and he is supposed to be resting in the attic of this synagogue. Is he really there? I don't know, because no one is allowed to visit him. As you will be walking around the Jewish quarter, you might think, well, this is kind of fancy. That's because this entire area was rebuilt during sanitation. We filmed the whole video about this and gave you a virtual tour of this area, showing you the before and after photos, so you can check it out if you are interested. But I have one more thing to show you in the Jewish quarter. I had to show you the statue of Franz Kafka, guys. This is the most famous writer who was born in Prague. The statue is pretty strange, and it's supposed to remind us of the first ever story that Franz Kafka wrote, called The Description of the Struggle. That's a perfect representation of how we were trying to dodge the rain today. I think we've been successful so far. So now we are done with the Jewish quarter, and we are heading back to the old town, which is right here. So you don't need to walk far anyway. And we're back to the Old Town Square. As you can see, it is busier now than it was in the morning, which is why we came here early, took all the photos, and now we're back to see other sites. There are many attractions in the old town of Prague I recommend visiting, but my top are Ungeld, Estates Theatre in Charles University, Havel's Market, House of the Black Madonna, and Powder Tower. Let's take a narrow street past the Teen Church to our next site. Old Town is famous for its medieval look, which is why I wanted to show you guys this. This is called Ungeld, and this is where medieval merchants would go to weigh and tax all of their goods. It was basically a fortified yard protected by the Czech king, and as we go through it, you will see that the wall there was quite thick, so it was extremely difficult to get through. You see? Still going through it, and here we are. Nowadays you can find a lot of stores here, but if you want to take a look at some beautiful architecture, check out this Renaissance palace. And in the middle of the road over there, you can see that the cobblestones look different. That's because they replicate the original medieval ones that the whole city center of Prague was paved with. From there, head to the Estates Theatre, which is where Mozart once premiered Don Giovanni. And don't miss the nearby Charles University that was founded in 1348. I also recommend making it to Havel's Market. This one has been open here since 1232, and you can find miscellaneous stuff here, some food stalls, coffee and souvenirs. You can stroll around and enjoy the atmosphere. There are also a few cafes and restaurants around this area. It would be a shame to leave Prague without seeing one of its most unique jewels, a Cubist house of the Black Madonna, which we have visited in one of our last videos. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see us eating Cubist desserts and regular ones as well. And we've reached the last stop, which is the Powder Gate, the medieval Gothic entrance to the city of Prague. So I feel like it's quite symbolic if we finish our tour here. It took us 7 hours to walk through the entire city center. It might take you longer if you decide to visit some museums or interiors of buildings on the way, or it might take you shorter if you just need to sprint through. We are now on the border between the old town and the new town of Prague, which is a great area because it has a lot of restaurants, clubs and concert halls. If you're a long-time viewer, you know that it's our remake of the One Day in Prague video. We shot the first one a long time ago and just felt like it needed to be updated. And also we decided to make the itinerary easier and more walkable, because under that first video a lot of you guys complained that we made it too complicated and difficult. Let us know in the comments which sites would you add to this itinerary or maybe exclude, and we will see you guys in our next video. Bye!